The first thing the Zelkor fleet saw was green. From orbit, Ceres 9 shimmered with rolling oceans of vegetation, its continents pulsing with life. Vast plains quilted with terraced farms, silver irrigation veins glittering under the sun. To the invaders, it looked provincial, soft. A world of dirt and patience, where primitives bent to weather and soil. Overlord Cothren's crest shimmered with satisfaction. A fitting tribute world, he rasped, mandibles clacking as his command bridge tilted into low orbit. No defenses, no energy readings beyond agricultural tools. Seize their skies, seize their ground, and leave the soil intact. The Dominion will feed on this planet for generations. His subcommander, Lieutenant Score, nodded. Their biosphere is unusually dense, Overlord. But our scans show no military infrastructure. No orbital weapons, no shields. Then it will be over by dusk. Cothren turned from the viewport. Prepare landing wings. I want to see what farmers look like. Below, Captain Mara Hale squinted up at the streaks cutting across the sky. To anyone else, they looked like meteors. To her, they were arrogance made visible. The Zelkor didn't mask their entry signatures. They wanted to be seen. She stood among her people in the middle of a wheat field, the stalks up to her shoulders, their golden heads rippling like waves under the wind. Behind her, a convoy of tractors idled, their operators waiting silently. Every colonist wore the same pale linen overalls, sun-bleached and simple. Mara pressed a finger to her earpiece. Fleet formation confirmed. 17 dropships inbound, 3 cruisers holding high orbit. They'll land within 5 clicks of the central silos. A voice crackled in her ear. Do we engage Phase 1? Not yet, she murmured. Let them believe we're afraid. The first dropship tore through the clouds like a wound in the sky, landing in a storm of dust and plasma. The ground shook, wheat bending away from the impact. A platoon of Zelkor soldiers emerged, tall, scaled, and glittering in segmented armor that hummed faintly with internal heat. Their breathing masks hissed as they tasted the planet's atmosphere. The alien commander stepped forward, towering over the humans. By decree of the Zelkor Dominion, his voice boomed through a translator drone, this colony is now under our protection. You will provide tribute and compliance. Refusal will result in eradication. Mara stepped forward, hands raised in peace. Her voice carried an easy, almost casual tone. We're farmers. We don't have anything worth fighting over. The commander tilted his head. Your species always says that. She smiled faintly. Maybe you should believe us. Hours later, Cothren stood within the colony's main administrative hub, a 2-story wooden structure that smelled faintly of sap and machinery. He found it quaint, almost insulting. Mara guided him through with calm professionalism. We can increase your food supply by 30% once our harvest completes, she said, handing him a tablet of data. The soil here is generous. Cothren snorted. You presume to instruct us in cultivation? The Dominion reshapes worlds in weeks. I'm sure you do, she said softly. But ours grows on its own. He didn't like her tone. Too even, too calm. His gaze swept over the room, old-style monitors, paper files, holographic charts of crop yield and moisture index. Nothing of military note. Yet something about her eyes unsettled him. They were observant, patient. Like a hunter studying patterns. Outside, alien troops marched through fields, scanning the strange plants. The crops seemed to shimmer subtly under their scanners, the wavelengths fracturing unpredictably. The soil hummed faintly beneath their boots, a harmonic so low it was felt more than heard. Cothren dismissed it. Fertilizer technology, he muttered. From her office window, Mara watched as the aliens established their forward base, armor glinting beneath the late sun. The harvest towers reflected the crimson sky like great metallic spires, their surfaces rippling faintly as if breathing. A technician approached her. Captain, their atmospheric filters are online. They're cycling our air now. Mara's lips curved. Good. Let them take deep breaths. That evening, Cothren's troops feasted. They'd seized several storage facilities, filling their ration tanks with local produce. The alien nutritional systems adapted quickly. Their machines broke down the organic compounds into compatible amino strands. The soldiers laughed, drinking the colony's water, chewing through the bright green grains. They called it meek food. Cothren watched from the command post, pleased. See how easily they yield? No resistance. Even their sustenance serves us. Perhaps they were abandoned, Score suggested. Cothren shook his head. No. These humans stayed. That means something. They either believe their fate is sealed, or they have not yet realized it. He turned toward the window, where the twin moons of Ceres 9 were rising over the horizon, casting the fields in silver light. The crops shimmered again, their tips glowing faintly as if reflecting a light from beneath the soil. Still, Cothren mused, this planet's biosphere is unsettlingly uniform. Score hesitated. Uniform, Overlord? Cothren nodded slowly. Every region we scanned has identical flora. Not a single mutation, not even across continents. It's unnatural. Shall I order a soil analysis? Do it. But don't waste much time. We move the fleet to full control tomorrow. The Dominion wants this world feeding our armies by next cycle. He looked down again at the farmlands, the dark silhouettes of farmers moving between the rows, slow and methodical, like ritual. One of them stopped, turned, and looked up directly at his viewport. Even from kilometers away, Cothren felt the weight of that gaze. It was Mara Hale, standing perfectly still among the glowing fields. Her face unreadable. For a fleeting moment, he felt something unfamiliar curl inside him, an instinct from deep evolutionary memory. Not fear. Something older. A sense that he was being measured. Night fell. Inside the farm silos, quiet machinery stirred. Seeds rearranged themselves within glass pods, roots pulsing with faint light. The wind carried a metallic tang, so faint it could be mistaken for ozone. Mara stood on a balcony overlooking the farmlands, her comms link whispering softly in her ear. Phase 1 complete, said her operator. Alien biosigns detected in atmosphere, soil, and water channels. Good, she said. Let the soil breathe. She looked toward the horizon, where the alien campfires burned bright against the dark. Their laughter echoed across the plains. Humans called this place a colony. But in truth, Ceres 9 was something else entirely. It wasn't planted to grow food. It was planted to grow victory. And harvest season was coming. Dawn came soft and amber across the fields of Ceres 9. The wheat swayed gently in the wind, whispering against the armored legs of the Zelkor patrols trudging through it. Dew clung to their carapaces, hissing faintly as it met the heat of their armor. The invaders had made themselves at home. Dozens of their ships sat in neat rows like predatory beetles at rest, their hulls steaming under the rising sun. The colony's open plains had become a staging ground, command tents, plasma generators, and sensor pylons dotting the horizon. The Zelkor were nothing if not efficient. Within hours, they had transformed half the farmland into a forward base. Captain Mara Hale watched the construction from the porch of the administrative hub, a cup of dark coffee steaming in her hand. Around her, colonists went about their business as if nothing had changed, tending irrigation valves, checking crop sensors, loading seed bags. The illusion of obedience was perfect. She caught her reflection in the glass, plain clothes, sun-tanned skin, calm eyes. The picture of harmless humanity. That was the mask. Behind her, Technician Yuri approached with a datapad. Phase 2 infiltration at 43%, he reported quietly. The alien oxygen filters are completely saturated. Their filtration spores are cycling through their ship's air. Mara nodded. And ingestion vectors? They've been gorging themselves on our grain. They even requested more nutrient stock for long-term rations. A ghost of a smile crossed her lips. Perfect. Tell Agrinet to increase protein density in the west silos. Double the nanite load in the husks. Yori hesitated. You really think they won't notice? They won't, Mara said. They think like warriors. They expect bullets, plasma, explosions. They've never fought something that doesn't bleed back. In the Zelkor medical outpost, unease was growing. Lieutenant Skor stood over a dissected plant specimen glowing faintly under containment light. Its cellular structure is impossible, his science officer hissed. Every cell is built from programmable organic filaments. It's not natural tissue, it's engineered. Human biotech? Skor asked. Too advanced, the officer rasped. And too old. The code is recursive, it evolves in real time. Skor's mandibles clicked in irritation. Report it to the Overlord. The officer paused. And tell him what, exactly? That the simple farmers built crops that rewrite DNA. Skor's throat plates tightened. He didn't answer. Outside the tent, the air shimmered with heat. The fields seemed to hum faintly, like a living engine. By midday, several soldiers had reported nausea and skin irritation. Their scales itched, their eyes burned. Medics applied salves and oxygen treatments, assuming it was planetary contamination. The word poison wasn't spoken aloud, not yet. Kothren walked among his soldiers, his posture proud but his senses alert. He could feel something off, a subtle scent in the air, a taste that lingered after each breath. Metallic, faintly sweet. He summoned Mara to the command tent. She entered, carrying her ever-present tablet. You summoned me, Overlord? Our soldiers are unwell, Kothren growled. Your crops, what are they? They are not natural. Mara's tone was all calm apology. Series 9's soil contains engineered symbiote. Old Earth science. They help the plants adapt to alien biomes. We've used them for decades. You expose my soldiers to living machines? His claws gouged a groove in the metal table. Machines. Mara tilted her head. They're just part of the ecosystem now. They don't harm humans. Kothren's eyes narrowed. That is not reassuring. Mara gave a small shrug. You wanted to occupy the planet. You're part of it now. Something in her voice, too steady, too certain, made Kothren's spines rise. He dismissed her with a glare, but her calmness lingered like smoke. That evening, the colony's irrigation channels glowed faintly as they carried water from the hills to the plains. Under the surface, nanite clusters drifted like silver dust, riding the current into Zelkor camp. The soldiers drank, bathed, cooked. Every drop carried a billion microscopic harvesters, and as the aliens slept beneath their humid domes, the nanites began their quiet work, attaching to Zelkor's cellular membranes, mapping, duplicating, rewriting. Not killing. Not yet. Just learning. Mara watched the sensor readouts from her command terminal deep beneath the administrative building. The lower levels of the colony weren't wooden and rustic. They were chrome and fiber, humming with subterranean systems. Her office above was a disguise. Series 9's true infrastructure was buried, a biological reactor stretching kilometers underground, feeding nutrients to the surface crop. Those crops weren't food. They were the delivery mechanism. Phase 2 infiltration complete, Yori reported. Nanite density at saturation threshold. Mara leaned back, her face lit by the cool blue glow of the monitors. And the aliens? Growing weaker by the hour. They're calling it an atmospheric mismatch. Good. Let them diagnose themselves to death. Skor's next report was grim. Overlord, 23 soldiers incapacitated. Their blood is turning silver. Their bodies reject nutrient conversion. Kothren slammed his fist into the console. Impossible. We scanned this planet. Skor hesitated. Their own equipment cannot identify the contaminant. The molecules break apart when isolated. Kothren turned toward the fields visible through the viewport. The wind rippled through the golden sea of crops, glowing faintly in the setting sun. The sight should have been peaceful. Instead, it made his stomach twist. Burn it, he snarled. Torch every field within 20 clicks. Score flinched. But the food supplies. Do it. Flames licked the night sky minutes later. Whole acres of engineered grain went up in roaring infernos. Yet the smoke rose clean, without ash. No scent of burning life, only the sterile tang of ozone. Catherine stared at it, unnerved. Even their plants refused to die properly. In the colony's underground control deck, Mara watched the fires from a camera feed. Phase 3 initiated? She asked quietly. Yuri nodded. Yes, Captain. The spores are airborne now. Global saturation expected within 36 hours. Mara sipped her coffee, unbothered by the flames consuming her world above. Then we'll need a new crop cycle. Should we evacuate the colonists? Unnecessary. They're immune. The technician hesitated, lowering his voice. Captain, what happens when they realize? Mara's expression didn't change. They'll realize too late. By then, they won't be soldiers anymore. They'll be fertilizer. Above, the fires died out by midnight. The fields of Ceres 9 still glowed faintly, a soft blue bioluminescence dancing beneath the ash. And in the Zelkor camps, soldiers coughed silver dust, their veins shining faintly beneath their armor. Somewhere deep underground, a pulse moved through the roots of the world, a slow, rhythmic beat that traveled from field to field, tower to tower, awakening the next phase of the system. The soil was breathing, and beneath that soil, humanity's oldest secret stirred. They didn't plant food. They planted evolution. And it was hungry. The first soldier died at dawn. It was quiet, almost peaceful. His breathing slowed, his scales dulled, and the metallic sheen in his blood turned liquid silver before dissolving into vapor. The medics sealed the body for analysis, but when they opened the containment pod, there was nothing left. Only fine, glittering dust that shimmered in the light like ground-up stars. By noon, there were 50 more. The Zelkor encampments had become triage zones, their once proud warriors writhing beneath sterile lights as human medics, pretending compliance, offered calm words and useless remedies. The aliens' own doctors raged and dissected, their instruments melting against the strange material forming in the corpses. Catherine stormed through the chaos, his voice cracking across the intercoms. I want results. I want answers. None came. The readings made no sense. Every Zelkor biological signature was being overwritten, replaced with something self-similar but human-coded. Their very DNA was being harvested and rewritten by invisible mechanisms in the air, in the food, in the water. The Dominion's proud soldiers were dissolving into raw data. Mara Hale watched from the edge of the colony's command platform, her face lit by the pale blue glow of the dying fields. Ceres 9 looked almost divine now, rows of bioluminescent crops stretching into the night, pulsing gently as though the entire world was breathing. Each pulse sent faint tremors through the soil, vibrations that only human sensors could interpret. The colony's network was alive, each plant a node, each spore a transmission. Status, she murmured into her calm. Global saturation, 91%, Yori's voice replied. We're seeing spontaneous conversions in orbiting ships. The spores rode the troop shuttles right into their life support systems. Any sign of resistance? None that matters. They're panicking, burning crops, cutting filtration. But the spores are inside their suits, their lungs, their blood. Then it's time. She turned toward the horizon, where a line of Zelkor cruisers glowed against the upper atmosphere like dying suns. Initiate collection mode. Deep in the colony's sublevels, ancient systems awaken. The ground rumbled as vents opened across the fields, releasing waves of heat that shimmered in the darkness. A low hum filled the air, soft but relentless, the sound of something vast and invisible aligning itself. The crops bent toward the alien encampments, as though following the scent of decay. Their leaves unfolded, revealing clusters of translucent pods underneath, each glowing faintly with contained energy. And then they opened. From the pods drifted clouds of silver spores, microscopic, intelligent, unstoppable. They moved like mist, like thought, following the pulse of alien heartbeat. Within minutes, the camps disappeared into a haze of shimmering light. Kothren stumbled from his command post, armor plates twitching with static interference. His visor flared with thousands of microscopic readings, biological, chemical, digital, all merging into chaos. "Evacuate the planet," he roared. "Seal the ships. Activate orbital purifiers." But the spores were already aboard. His bridge officers coughed silver vapor as they manned their stations. The air filters screamed and melted. The ship's hull began to glow faintly, as though something beneath the metal was crawling outward. He slammed his comm, "Find the human leader. Hail. Bring her to me." They found her standing in the middle of the wheat fields. The air shimmered with silver light, each spore caught in the dawn like fireflies. Around her, alien bodies lay half buried in soil that pulsed beneath their remains, absorbing them back into the earth. The sound was faint but constant, a wet, rhythmic heartbeat, the planet itself feeding. Mara looked calm, serene. Her boots sank slightly into the soil, which seemed to move of its own accord, soft as breathing skin. Kothren staggered toward her, his armor half melted, his voice distorted by static. "What are you doing?" he hissed. She regarded him coolly. "Harvesting. You've infected us." "No," she smiled faintly. "You infected yourselves. You wanted what was ours, the food, the air, the soil. You took all of it. That's what predators do." Kothren fell to one knee, clutching his chest. His armor split down the center, silver light leaking through the cracks like molten metal. "You can't win this way," he rasped. "This is madness. There's no honor." "Honor?" Mara's tone turned quiet, almost pitying. "You thought this was a war. We thought it was agriculture." He reached for her, claws trembling. His hand disintegrated midair, scattering into luminous dust. The wind carried it gently across her face like pollen. Mara closed her eyes. Photosynthesis complete. From orbit, the spectacle was surreal. Ceres 9's surface bloomed with light. Every field, every grove, every hydroponic tower erupted in synchronized radiance, a planetary signal flare. The atmosphere shimmered silver and blue, rippling outward in concentric waves. Human satellites hidden in the outer system came online, receiving terabytes of biological data streaming from the planet below. Every Zelkor genome was catalogued, decoded, archived. On the colony's main screen, Yori's eyes widened as streams of alien code flowed across the monitors. "Captain, the system's mapping their memories. Not just their biology, their neural patterns, command codes, everything." "Good," Mara said. "Knowledge is the best harvest. Should we stop the process?" "No," she looked up at the ceiling, listening to the hum beneath her feet. "Let the planet feed. When it's done, there'll be nothing left but fertilizer." Hours passed. The sky turned silver. By evening, the alien fleet was silent. Ships hung lifeless in orbit, hulls stripped of color, metal now crystalline and translucent. Down below, their soldiers were gone, reduced to nutrient vapor absorbed by the breathing soil. The fields of Ceres 9 glowed brighter than ever, their pulses synchronized with the planet's core rhythm. Mara walked between the rows, brushing her fingers across the plants. They hummed faintly under her touch, as if alive. "You've eaten well," she whispered. "Now grow strong." She turned toward the empty sky, where faint silver dust traced the paths of vanished ships. Humanity had learned long ago that war wasn't won through force. It was won through control of the environment, through patience, through cultivation. To the galaxy, humans were farmers. Simple, harmless, slow. But the truth was simpler still. They didn't plant crops to feed themselves. They planted worlds to feed victory. And on Ceres 9, harvest season had only just begun. From the surface of Ceres 9, the Zelkor fleet looked like a constellation on fire. Cruisers and destroyers hung in the upper atmosphere, their hulls turning translucent, shedding streams of molten light that fell like rain. The skies shimmered silver as particulate matter, alien in origin, descended gently over the fields below. The humans didn't run. They watched. Every colonist stood among the glowing crops, eyes reflecting the celestial blaze. It was beautiful in a terrible way, like watching the gods themselves return to ash. Mara Hale stood at the colony's central hub, wind whipping her hair as she stared skyward. "Status," she said into her calm. Yori's voice was crisp, efficient. "Spore saturation has reached orbital layers. The fleet's oxygen recyclers are compromised. Life support collapsing. We're also detecting feedback loops. Ship's AI cores are integrating with the nanite stream." Integrating. They're merging with the Spore's data lattice. The fleet's command network is being rewritten by our biological system. Mara exhaled, her tone measured. "Then it's time to collect." From the planet's surface, massive spires began to unfold. The colony's silo towers, once thought to be grain elevators, split open like petals of mechanical flowers. Internal panels rotated, revealing dark apertures pulsing with blue light. The air grew heavy, dense with electromagnetic charge. And then, the world inhaled. Every structure, every field, every irrigation channel drew in the falling light, the drifting alien residue. Great currents of silver dust flowed through the air, coalescing toward the towers. The sound was haunting, a deep, slow pulse like the heartbeat of an ocean. The human colonists watched in silence. Not awe, not horror. Reverence. Above, aboard his dying flagship Vorak, Overlord Kothren clawed his way toward the bridge viewport. His armor flickered with fractal light. The nanites had entered his body hours ago, but his will kept him moving. "Broadcast," he hissed. "Open a channel to the humans." The ship's AI was no longer responding. It spoke in a whisper now, soft and rhythmic, mirroring the pulse of the planet below. Harvesting cycle confirmed. Organic assets assimilated. Nutrient transfer in progress. Kothren's mandibles ground together. "I am overlord of the Dominion. I will not be harvested." His body convulsed as silver fissures crawled along his limbs, splitting armor and flesh alike. Yet he forced himself to the terminal and slammed his claws against the comm interface. "Human!" he roared into the open frequency. "Hail! Face me!" The message reached Mara in seconds. She stood atop the observation deck, the holographic projection of Kothren flickering before her. He was breaking apart. His face shimmered with metallic dust, eyes wide with fury and disbelief. "What are you?" he snarled. Mara met his gaze with quiet calm. "Farmers. Farmers don't create weapons like this." "Who said anything about weapons?" She stepped closer to the projection. "We don't destroy. We cultivate. You invaded our garden, Overlord, and everything that enters a garden eventually becomes part of the soil." He tried to laugh, but his throat emitted only static. "You think this will win you the galaxy? You'll infect yourselves." She shook her head. "No. Humanity is immune. The spores recognize us as their source. You, however, were nourishment." The Overlord's form destabilized, flickering into a haze of silver particles. His final words came as a whisper, soft and cracked. "You monsters." Mara regarded the fading image, then whispered, "No. Just survivors." The hologram dissolved. The sky screamed. Series 9's towers pulsed in synchronization, forming a lattice across the entire hemisphere. Streams of light connected them, arcs of controlled energy reaching miles high. The atmosphere itself became a living conduit, channeling information and biomass into the planet's subterranean vault. The planet was feeding. In the colony's control chamber, Yori watched the readings in silent awe. "Captain, we're pulling terabytes of alien neural data. Combat strategies, planetary coordinates, genetic archives." "Store it all," Mara said. "We'll seed it later." He hesitated. "Seed it? Where?" Mara looked toward the holographic map of the stars now glowing in the air. Dozens of systems shimmered with Zelkor icons. Everywhere they've ever ruled. Every place they ever called home. We'll plant new worlds there. She turned toward the viewing glass, where faint silver light flickered through the dust-filled air. They wanted to consume. We'll teach them what that means. Hours passed as the storm raged. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the light began to fade. The skies cleared, leaving behind a strange stillness. The fields shimmered under starlight, brighter, more vibrant than ever. The air felt different, dense, rich, alive. The ground itself seemed to hum under every footstep, like something vast was breathing below. The Dominion fleet was gone. The orbital debris was being drawn down into the planet's gravity well, each fragment absorbed by atmospheric nanite streams. Not a single alien body remained. Only perfect, fertile soil. Later, in the decontamination chamber beneath the colony's main tower, Mara stood alone. The glass walls around her glowed faintly with bioluminescent vines, the same material that once made up the crops above. Yori's voice came through the calm, planetary harvest complete, Captain. 4.2 trillion nanite units collected. Atmospheric balance restored. The soil has reached saturation threshold. Good, she said. Activate containment. Begin assimilation of stored biomass into genetic libraries. Understood. He paused. Captain, what do we tell Earth Command? Mara smiled faintly. Tell them the harvest was successful. Series 9 yields optimal. And the Zell core? She looked through the glass, where new seedlings sprouted from black soil glowing faintly blue. They've been repurposed. At sunset, the colony was quiet again. From orbit, Series 9 looked unchanged, green, serene, peaceful. A simple farming world, just as the Dominion's first scouts had recorded. But if you looked closely, the vegetation no longer reflected sunlight, it absorbed it, bending it inward. The soil pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins, spreading in intricate patterns like neural tissue. Human colonists resumed their routines, plowing, watering, harvesting. But now, every movement, every gesture felt almost ritualistic, like caretakers tending to something sacred. Mara stood at the edge of the field, hands clasped behind her back. The wind carried the faint metallic scent of victory. She spoke softly, not to anyone in particular. They thought they could reap what we sow. Instead, they became the crop. Behind her, the nearest silo hummed, its surface alive with slow, rhythmic light. Harvest complete. Nutrient cycle stable. Yield optimal. Series 9 exhaled. And the stars, for the first time in millennia, blinked in fear. The stars were quiet again. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion's broadcast channels went silent. Entire sectors, once mapped by alien empires, showed nothing but static. Their fleets, their colonies, their command nodes, gone. Absorbed into something they could neither understand nor stop. From the ashes of their arrogance, humanity began to sow. Series 9 Command Hub. 6 months after the harvest. The colony no longer resembled a settlement, it had become a living organism. Metallic roots ran under the soil, pulsing softly with bioluminescent energy. Buildings shimmered faintly in the twilight, their walls adapting to light and temperature as if breathing. Even the air had changed, warmer, richer, heavy with a faint hum that vibrated in the bones. Mara Hale stood on the balcony overlooking the field. Each stalk glowed with pale silver veins, swaying to an unseen rhythm. What once was wheat now grew hybrid fibers. Half plant, half biomachine, capable of both feeding and computing. Behind her, Yori approached quietly. You should see this, he said, holding out a data slate. Mara took it, scanning the display. Dominion distress signals. Faint but repeating. From where? Outer Rim sectors. Looks like fragments of the old fleet are still transmitting. But, he hesitated. The signal patterns, they're changing. Mimicking ours. She looked up sharply. Meaning? Yori met her gaze. Meaning the spores didn't just harvest them. They learned them. The nanite network is replicating Dominion signal structures. It's spreading. Orbit above Ceres 9. The satellite known as Beacon 12 rotated silently, its lenses trained on the planet below. From its sensors, faint silver threads stretched from the surface into the void, energy currents barely visible to normal instruments, like veins of light winding toward the stars. Those threads weren't random. They formed patterns, precise, geometric alignments that mapped directly onto Dominion's star chart. Each filament connected to a new target world. The network was expanding. Transmission log, Earth Command, Lunar Relay. Ceres 9 reports soil yield exceeds 600% planetary baseline. Colony energy output has increased 20-fold. Terraforming rate self-sustaining. Recommend expansion protocol. Authorization granted. Deploy seed ships to frontier sectors. Directive 47 Alpha. Replication and seeding authorized under Hail Command. End of transmission. Seed ship Eden's Lance. The ship cut through the dark like an arrow of light. Its hull shimmered with organic metal, covered in living glyphs that pulsed in rhythm with the ship's core. Within its hold were thousands of spore silos, self-replicating payloads derived from Ceres 9's harvest system. Mara's voice echoed through the vessel. Remember, these aren't weapons. They're gardens. Each one will bloom a world that can sustain, protect, and evolve. The Dominion burned 1,000 planets. We'll regrow them all. Yori turned to her from the command console. And if something tries to stop us? Mara smiled faintly. Then they'll learn what happens when you burn a field before harvest. The ship accelerated, disappearing into the void. Outer Rim, Vorsk system. 3 weeks later, the first seed fell. It struck the surface of a barren moon with a soft, almost gentle impact. Within seconds, its shell split apart, releasing streams of liquid silver that crawled across the surface. The substance spread, forming intricate fractal roots that burrowed deep into the crust. Hours passed. The ground began to glow. Then came life. Glittering flora, growing impossibly fast. Metallic vines erupted from the soil, weaving into crystalline trees that pulsed with light. The moon's dull gray surface transformed into a living world, half machine, half ecosystem. Orbiting Dominion drones detected the change. They approached cautiously, scanning the surface. The moment they breached the atmosphere, their systems went silent. Their armor corroded. Their neural cores melted into silver rain. In the stillness, the moon whispered. A voice carried through the network. Assimilation complete. Growth cycle initiated. Yield, optimal. Ceres 9. Back on the homeworld, Mara watched the expanding network on the holographic star map. Dozens of new nodes pulsed with soft blue light. Yori leaned over her shoulder. Every world the Dominion once ruled, our spores are reaching them. Their old defense networks are collapsing, and the soil is reshaping itself. We've got reports of humans landing on reclaimed worlds. No need for terraforming. It's already ready for them. Mara's expression was distant. Good. Let them grow. He hesitated. Do you ever worry we've gone too far? That we've become something else? She turned to face him. We were always something else, Yori. Humanity doesn't conquer with claws or plasma. We endure. We spread. We adapt until the universe itself becomes familiar. That's not domination, that's evolution. Her voice softened. The Dominion called us parasites. Maybe they were right. But parasites don't build gardens. Deep space, the old Dominion core. In the dark reaches where the overlords once ruled, the last surviving command AI flickered weakly within a dying fortress. Sensors caught something impossible, a faint pulse approaching through hyperspace. It resembled no known drive signature. Then it arrived, a single, silver seed drifting silently through the void. It latched onto the fortress hull, pulsing once. The AI scanned it. Organic construct. Human origin. Threat classification. Minimal. A pause. Then the seed spoke. Reclassification. Soil sample detected. Initiating cultivation. The AI tried to raise defenses. Shields, drones, reactors, all flickered and died. Silver light spread across every corridor, swallowing the station whole. The last voice of the Dominion screamed as its systems melted into new life. No, we are. Silence. Moments later, the fortress bloomed like a flower. Series 9 months later. The colony's sky was no longer black. Thin silver lines stretched overhead, faintly glowing like constellations. The network connected every seeded world, hundreds now, each one pulsing in rhythm with the others. Mara stood in the command dome, watching the living star map. It looked like a galaxy reborn, a web of light where once there had been tyranny. Yori entered quietly. Transmission from Earth Command. They're calling it the human bloom. Mara smiled. Appropriate. He frowned. They're asking if we can control it. Her eyes reflected the map's silver glow. Control? No. We can only tend it. Growth isn't about control, it's about trust. Yori looked uneasy. And if it grows beyond us? She looked up, her tone serene. Then the galaxy will remember who planted the first seed. Outside, the wind swept across endless silver fields. The soil hummed with life, whispering softly in a language only the stars could hear. The harvest was over. The bloom had begun.